This is my goddaughter,
Hi.
Matilda Washington. Where are we?
And we're at AFI, American Film Institute, which is like one of the #1 places or film places in the world, and especially in America. I know UCLA or USC sometimes beats us a bit, but in general, welcome.
Why are we here?
Because my godmother is visiting me. But
Well, why are you here usually?
I go here because I'm a production design fellow. And right over here, as you walk in, this is the soundstage. This is a space where you can pretty much build a set on this in this room, because like in general in the Hollywood area and all Paramount studios, Universal Studios, they all have sound stages, and it's a good process to learn how to build a set and film on, in an interior space. You can make an interior space and an exterior space, vice versa, and etc. But yeah, this is the school soundstage. We are allowed to use it throughout our whole time here. I don't know what's happening right now.
Well, let's see it. There's like some faces here. Look at this. Ooh, there's like some true creepiness happening.
Yeah.
Oh wow, this reminds me of The Substance.
When it comes to flats, we have two, 4, and 6 feet flats.
And flats as in shoes? No.
Flats as in walls. That's what we call walls, because essentially in a lot of film and TV and stage and things like that, when you see basically a bedroom, an interior of a space, in general, they're probably built with flats, which are just walls. So that's kind of like movie magic right there that's been exposed. Because now when I watch films, I'm like, that's a flat.
That's not an actual house.
Exactly. You need to put up the flat properly, which is with jacks, or you can drill the flats together, but you have to really drill them into the ground here, so they don't move. So there's a lot of, like, you can see age into the floors. Just because
This is not its first rodeo.
Yeah, these are some doors and windows that have been made. So essentially you can use them.
Oh, here we have some flats.
Yeah, as you can see, the age when it comes to the paint and everything. So yeah, you can paint all the flats. One thing that they recommend, just because the boss, Kevin, says we shouldn't do it, or if we do it, we gotta take it off. You can texture the flat. So that means, like, if you want stucco walls, it's like a technique that we got from a scenic painter was like, just do pine nuts and put it in paint and just put it on the flat. But what you have to do is you have to put another plywood on top of this, and then put the texture on top of that, for if you need texture walls or texture things, and then at the end of your film set, your shoot, you have to take it off. So the big important thing is that there's this line right here, so nothing can be built outside this line, because there's a fire line. On every soundstage, there are parameters of safety. That's what you also have to think about when it comes to making your sets, safety-wise.
So that your set shrinks. You think it's bigger, but it's not. Because you have to take that into account.
Yeah.
What's your favorite thing about being somebody who tells stories for a living and helps tell stories?
It's really beautiful having to do the research, having to do, to think about the characters and what drives the characters, in the creation of your film. Like something that we talked about last night in class, we were talking about the comedy genre, but in general, it was about how, again, the design of spaces and the transition to spaces could be interesting. Like we talked mainly about the movie Scott Pilgrim
Versus the World,
where
so good.
The director did a lot of transitions in his camera work and in his editing and in all departments, and that element of transition, which was a part of the tone that you saw through all the design of the film, and that really helped elevate the theme of the fact, because the character is going through a transition. So like, it's just thinking small things like that, of like, okay, what is the character going through in the story? Like the fact that they're going through an identity crisis. It's like you might want to bring in forms of identity. It's like, again, a character's going through a transition. Like, how can you design that in your design? So just like thinking things like that make it really fun to like craft, and why I want to do this even more, because even when I was talking to my teacher about my set design for the project I'm doing, it's basically about a boy who has Tourette's, but when he makes art, when he paints, his Tourette's doesn't show at all. So the painting helps him in that form of fashion. So in general, he lives with his grandmother. There is a big emphasis of him wanting to remove his Tourette's by going through a whole operation, but he doesn't want to do that. But in general, he leaves his home and goes to this institution space, and he comes back to his home. And then something big happens between him and his Nana, and then which makes him essentially go through the operation. And then after the operation is done, it's like his art isn't there anymore, because his Tourette's really help emphasize his art. But in general, it's like what I'm going to design is his art studio space, because for me, with reading the script, it's like that's his space of self-expression, mainly his comfort, his home. While also in the film, there is a moment like in that comfort space, he essentially accidentally hits his Nana through his because of his Tourette act. So in my head, I thought that was the most interesting space to design, because there's a positive and there's also a negative in that space. How does this push the story? And that's kind of what we're being challenged constantly, like in the films that we make throughout the years, and also in our projects.
That's beautiful.
So, yeah.
Thank you.
Of course.